Star Wars only, I don't know what the fuck your problem is.
Daisy Ridley, the actress who plays Rey in the new Star Wars sequels, has been doing some interviews for her upcoming play, and they've asked her some Star Wars questions. USA Today asked her some questions about Star Wars and the new sequel movies, and I like that. I'm actually happy that they've asked these questions because they're really good. These are really good questions. Let's get into the first one. They asked, The Force Awakens was a familiar, fun reintroduction to Star Wars universe, while The Last Jedi was a darker, riskier installment. How does The Rise of Skywalker compare? And Daisy says, genre-wise, it's different from the other two, which will become more clear when the film comes out. It's quite emotional. There's a different drive than the previous two films, but there's a lot of fun. I really missed John during the last one, but we're back together and now Oscar is a part of it. To me, it feels like kids going on an adventure. And I like that right there because that's what I've wanted from a Star Wars film from the start. The original trilogy is about Luke, Han, and Leia coming together. There's these young kids. I mean, Han's a little older, but Luke and Leia are twins, they're young. So they're going on this adventure, and that's pretty much the whole premise of Star Wars, and I like that. I feel like that's missing in the sequel trilogy, so it's nice to hear that they're finally doing that with Episode 9, getting all three of the main leads together and actually going on an adventure together, because that's what Star Wars is supposed to be about. On to the next question. USA Today asks, There's been an intense obsession with Rey's parents, and many fans were dissatisfied when they were revealed to be nobodies in The Last Jedi. Is there more to their story in this new film? And Daisy replies with, Director J.J. Abrams did say the question is answered, so at the end of the film, you know what the dealio is. This last part of the interview I think is the most interesting part. They ask, writer/director Rian Johnson received a ton of backlash online after The Last Jedi, with many fans petitioning to remake the film and redeem Luke Skywalker's character. Were you surprised at all by the controversy? And Ridley responds with, I wasn't surprised. No, it's just a different thing. Everyone's going to have an opinion now anyway on the internet, but I also think it's fair. If people hold on to something incredibly dear and think they know how it should be done and it's not like that, it's fair for people to think they were done wrong. It doesn't mean they were, ultimately. Ryan's a filmmaker, and one person can't dictate how a film is supposed to be, but freedom of expression, sure. And there's a lot of takeaways from that. I think she's actually revealing a lot, and I think now that filming's basically done, the movie's going to come out later this year, there's not really much to do anymore but watch the movie. She's just going to kind of start letting everything out and just start telling the truth. What's crazy is that she was on set The Last Jedi, she was reading the script, and she knew, hey, some fans are not going to like this. And I would say she should have told Rian Johnson that. She should have said something to him like Mark Hamill was doing. But she also hints at the end that, Ryan's just one guy and he can't dictate how a film is supposed to be. And she's got a point. The big problem with that argument, though, is that he is the writer and the director of The Last Jedi. I mean, this dude had a lot of creative freedom and control over the, middle film of this trilogy in this episodic saga that's huge. I mean, that's a lot of pressure on one guy and a lot of responsibility on one guy. I just think it's weird how she was on set and knew that there was going to be some mixed opinions and reactions to it, and people weren't going to like the character of Luke Skywalker, but either never said anything or just was like, well, damn, we'll see what happens, Because, I mean, when you're filming, you don't know everything that's happening. I mean, even look at what they said about Endgame. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that they don't know. When they were filming the funeral scene, they all thought it was a wedding scene. You have stuff like that where actors aren't always going to know what's going on. But when you read the script, in this case where she knew ahead of time, some fans might not like this film, it's interesting that she never really said anything about it up till now. Up until everything's basically done, she's never hinted at people being disappointed with The Last Jedi. Because leading up to the film, I really only recall one actor being very vocal about his disappointment with The Last Jedi, and that is Mark Hamill. And to this day, he's still very vocal about it. And even Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, Mark Hamill doesn't seem to be all that enthusiastic about it. So you have this weird thing now where you have John Boyega hinting out on Twitter, once Episode 9 wraps and it's out and everything, he's going to give out his true feelings like the Game of Thrones actors have. And now you have Daisy Ridley coming out and saying that she knew people weren't going to like The Last Jedi. She knew there was going to be some problems with it for fans. But when she talks about Episode 9, she says that it's different emotionally. It's supposed to be epic. It's a grand finale to the Skywalker saga. I'd hope it's going to be emotional. And she says it's different. It's a different drive from the previous two installments. And I think that's a good thing to say. The Force Awakens was a very nostalgic kind of reminder of what Star Wars is supposed to feel like, what it's supposed to look like, what the story is supposed to kind of be built up like. and Episode 8 really didn't feel like a Star Wars movie to me at all. And while I like Episode 7 and I didn't like Episode 8, I think Episode 9 being different from both of those films, it's not going to be a nostalgia fest, it's not going to be a rehash of one of the old trilogy films, and it's not going to be like Episode 8 where it completely, subverts your expectations on what you thought you knew what Star Wars was and all of that. If it doesn't do either of those things, then it possibly could be a good film, I would argue. I think this is a good sign in the right direction. She says it feels like kids going on an adventure. And I know I'm an adult, and a lot of people going to see this are adults, but that's what this story is supposed to be about. It's a fairy tale. It's an adventure. You're supposed to go on an adventure with these characters, and it's supposed to be fun. I mean, it's not going to be the most enjoyous thing. It's a bittersweet ending. It's supposed to be like Lord of the Rings, where at the end, you got some positive feelings, but you also have some sad feelings. People died along the way. It's not going to be the greatest thing in the world, but it's supposed to be an adventure. Episode 8 was not an adventure at all. I mean, might have been an adventure to make it, but goddamn, that was an adventure to watch. I really don't feel like I've gone on an adventure with these three characters yet, because they haven't worked together yet. In Episode 8, they were all separated. In Episode 7, it was Poe and Finn at first, and then it was Finn and Rey, and that was nice. That was genuinely nice. But in Episode 8, completely went away from that. And now that they're coming in Episode 9, it's like, well, it's a little late to care about all three of them as a team this late into the trilogy. It's the last film. You should have started this in the first one and really sealed the deal in the second one. That's what Empire Strikes Back did, is it really built on the characters of Han, Luke, and Leia, and there was that really big connection that you had with them then. And then Episode 6, built on that even more. Now Episode 9 is finally getting them all together and finally going on an adventure with the main trio. And I think it's sad that it's taking so long to get to that, but hopefully is what we expected from the beginning. So tell me your thoughts. What do you guys think about what Daisy said in this interview? Are you happy? Do you think she's going to reveal more in the future? Do you think she's not? And do you think more actors and Star Wars cast members will reveal what they truly think about these Star Wars sequels? Tell me your thoughts below. I'm Star Wars Only. I will see y'all next time, and may the Force be with you always.